All right, today we're going to take notes on 6.2. So this is all about the law of cosines. So we use law of cosines when we don't have a corresponding pair. So if I don't have side A and angle A to use law of sines, I have to use law of cosines. So standard form is when I have two sides and one angle. And then we could use alternative form also, which is a part of law of cosines, when it gives me three sides. So these are different formulas for law of cosines. Just like I said yesterday, a law of sines will be given to you for the test and quiz. All the formulas in law of cosines will too. So these will be provided for you. So let's look at example 1. So we have this triangle and it gives us three sides. When using law of cosines, it's super important that we start with the biggest side. So our biggest side here is what? B. So we're going to have to find angle B first. So super important. A lot of people started the web assign in the last class and said, it's marking my answers wrong. It's because they didn't start with the biggest side. So always, always, always start with the biggest side and find the corresponding angle to that one first. So because it gives us three sides, we're going to use alternative form. So that's this one down here. So cosine of B is equal to a squared, so that would be 8 squared plus 14 squared minus 19 squared over 2 times 8 times 14. And then we put this into our calculator. So I got negative 0.4508. Keep this in your calculator. When doing the next step, what's the next step? Inverse of cosine. So that cosine -1 button of negative 0.4508. So keep it in your calculator. A lot of calculators have a button that says A and S. So it keeps the answer from the question before. So what I would do is click cosine -1, and then that A and S button to keep the answer in my calculator. Right, we use this when it doesn't give us a pair of like corresponding side and angle, so we can't use law of sines. So we have to use law of cosines. So for angle B, I got 116.8 degrees. B is 116.8. Next, I want to find angle C. How can I find angle C? I could use law of sines now because I have a corresponding pair. I have side B and I have angle B. So I can use law of sines. In my opinion, law of sines formula is easier because it doesn't have as much math going on in it. So I would use law of sines. So I have 14 over sine of C is equal to what? 19 over sine of 116.8. Awesome. 19 over sine of 116.8. So I can cross multiply. So not always. If what I was trying to find is on top, I would just multiply by the denominator. But if what I'm trying to find is on the bottom, it's easier to cross multiply. You can always cross multiply and it will work. divide both sides by 19, and then I want to put this into my calculator.
You said you only do when what you're trying to find is in the bottom, right?
So I get sine of c is 0.6576. I'm going to keep that in my calculator to then find the inverse. So that's sine negative 1 of 0.6576.
It's 41.12 or 1.
Awesome. 41 point.
It's like 6, 5, 7, 6, 9, whatever. Can you do 7, 6, 5, 7, 7?
You can.
So that's what I did in the website.
You can. Because if you're only rounding to 1 or 2 decimals, it wouldn't hurt. Like, if you have like 4 or 5 digits here, it's not going to affect you too much. 2. So for C, I got 41.2 degrees. Now the last thing I have to find is angle A. How can I find angle A? Add the 2 angles that I have and subtract it from 180. So I have 116.8 plus 41.2. So we do 180 minus 157.9, and we get 22.1. So angle A is 22.1 degrees. So it gave us 3 sides here, and we found the 3 angles. So angle A, B, and C.
It's 41.
Yeah, I wrote it down wrong, so it should be 41.1. All right, so here it gives us 2 sides and the included angle. So yesterday in law of sines, we worked with 2 sides and 1 angle. We knew we had to check for a second triangle, but that's only when you have SSA that you have to check for a second triangle. So this is side, angle, side, so we don't have to check. All right, so we're going to use which formula here if it gives us 2 sides and an angle?
If
The first one, because we have to find side A first, because it gives us angle A. So we find the corresponding one to the angle first. So plug everything in. We have A squared, which is what we're trying to find, is equal to B squared, so 9 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 9 times 12 times cosine of A. So A squared is equal to 81 plus 144 minus 2 times 9 times 12 times cosine of A. So I'm going to put this into my calculator. I got 195.76.
you try to find the sides and then alternative things when you try to find the angles?
Yes. So A squared is equal to 29.237, and then just take the square root of both sides. So A is equal to 5.41, we can say.
Isn't it plus or minus?
But can you have a negative side length? Nope. So that's why it's not plus or minus.
How do you find like your square root of
So now that we have a corresponding pair, so I have angle A and side A, I can do law of sines. You could still do law of cosines if you wanted to. I would just stick with law of sines because it's less math going on, a little bit easier. All right, so we have 5.41 over 25, sine of 25, is equal to, let's find C first. So sine of C and 12 on top. So I can cross multiply. So I have 5.41 times sine of C is equal to 12 times sine of 25. Divide by 5.41. So I got sine of C is equal to 0.937. And then we have to take the inverse. So I got 69.6 degrees. I got 69.6 here. If I add these two and subtract from 180, so if I did it this way, like I did, I would get 85 degrees, 85.4 for B. What's my biggest angle here? 85. Is B my biggest side? No, so I did something wrong. So what I would do is then, instead of trying to find C first, I would find B first, just like you did. So I know that my math went wrong somewhere because the opposite, like the pairs here, opposite side and angle, have to correspond. So if B is the biggest angle, that means B has to be the biggest side, but it wasn't. So something went wrong. So let's solve and find.
So you have to calculate the smallest.
So let's find angle B first then. So I'm going to use the same proportion of A's. So I have 5.41 over sine of A is equal to 9 over sine of B. So cross multiply. Oops, sine of A is 25. Cross multiply, we get 5.41 times sine of B is equal to 9 times sine of 25. Divide by 5.41. So sine of B is equal to this in our calculator. So sine of B is equal to 0.703. And then we have to take the inverse of this. So I got angle B is equal to 44.67, or I could just say 44.7. And then how can I find angle C? Awesome. Add them together and then subtract them from 180. So I have angle A and angle B, so 25 plus 44.7. So this will be 69.7 and subtract that from 180. So angle C is 110.3. So I found angle C, angle B, and side A. So those are my three answers here. On WebAssign, it asks you to put in 2 decimal places. It'll mark it wrong if you only put 1, so just make sure you put in 2. For here, it doesn't specify, so I just left it as 1 decimal place, but be careful with that on WebAssign. All right, example 3. So we have to find how far the pitcher's mound is from first base. So we're looking for H. If it helps, rename this with A, B, and C. That way we can just plug it into our formula. So I'm just going to call H A. So I'm looking for little a. And then I can call F B, and P will be C. That way when I plug it into my formula, I know what's going where. So I'm trying to find side A. So I have 2 sides and 1 angle. So which formula am I going to use?
Cosine.
The law of cosines, but A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2 times B times C times cosine of A. Because I'm looking for A squared. So it's always going to be equal to what you're looking for. So then from here I can plug everything in. So A squared is equal to, B was 43, so 43 squared plus 60 squared minus 2 times 43 times 60 times cosine of 45. So I get A squared is equal to 1800.329. Take the square root of both sides. So A is equal to 42.4. 42.4 watts? Feet. All right, so the last thing we're going to do today is Herons' area formula. So law of cosines can be used to establish the following formula for the area of a triangle. It's Herons' formula. So our area formula here is the square root of s times s minus a times s minus b times s minus c. Now s is a variable we don't know, so to find s, it gives us a second formula here. So s is equal to a plus b plus c divided by 2. So first we have to figure out what s is, and then we can then we plug that into our area formula so we can find the area. So first thing we need to do is find s. So this is when it gives you a triangle with side lengths a, b, and c. We use Herons' formula. So here it gives us the 3 sides. So we have to use Herons' formula to find the area. What do I have to find first? S. So S is equal to A plus B plus C divided by 2. So 43 plus 53 plus 72 divided by 2. So we get S is equal to 84. Now we use S for our area formula. So 84 is not our area. That helps us find the area. So our area is equal to the square root of S, so 84, times s minus a, so 84 minus 43, times s minus b, times s minus c. So the area is equal to the square root of 84 times 41 times 31 times 12. So I got the area is equal to 1,131.9. What's my unit? Meters what? Squared, because it's area. So area is always your unit squared. All right, so we have 3 formulas that we could use for a triangle. First one is our standard formula, which we all have seen before. So if I had a regular triangle with the base and the height has to be perpendicular to the base, I could use 1/2 base times height. If I had an oblique triangle, meaning that it's not a right triangle and I don't know what the height is, I can use my law of sines area formula. So that's 1/2 times b times c times sine of a. So we would use this if it was side angle side. And then we can use Herons' formula if it gives us all 3 sides, so side, side, side.